Here's a movie I'd like all musicians to see. Let's go back to isolating ourselves, ruining our mental health, until we get that singular vision down on tape, something that will help other people. And be unflinching with your art. Don't sacrifice. Don't give in. I just watched Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere, and I want to talk about it. First, let's start with the premise. So this is a Bruce Springsteen biopic, and the timing of it is Bruce Springsteen has just ended a tour. I forget which album it ended, but it's leading up to the time period where this album, Nebraska, would be released, and then some of the songs that he's working on during this time are also on Born in the USA, which is in the back there. So he's kind of gaining popularity. He rents a secluded place to start writing some tracks. He buys some demo equipment or recording equipment to help him lay down some demos. Ends up loving the sound on that simple equipment. Wants that to be the perfect haunting album as it is, with none of the E Street Band, no other players, just kind of how he wrote it and laid it down in that house. That's what he wants it to be. Essentially, that's it. I mean, we're dealing with some family dynamics. There's some flashbacks and some current interactions with his mother and father that kind of show you how Bruce was shaped and how he grew up. It's a lot about being from a small town. There's a love interest that's, I guess, kind of an amalgamation of women that Bruce met in his 20s and 30s. It's not based on any real person, but that's also another avenue for him to have some growth throughout this movie. Now let's get to know the players. So first we have Jeremy Allen White, who is playing Bruce Springsteen at this point in his career, becoming a larger-than-life rock god, but he still has those hometown ties. He wants to play at the local club, but he's getting recognized. He's got a level of humility that Jeremy Allen White is really good at delivering. Jeremy Allen White has a voice. Sometimes sounds like gravelly Bruce voice. Sometimes it's not really going for that. So I don't know how much he was really trying to do that. The singing that he did on the film was great. Nobody can quite play tortured like Jeremy Allen White out there right now, but he does a lot of that on The Bear, so he's got some practice. Then we have Jeremy Strong as Bruce Springsteen's manager. I think his name is John. He's confident. He's backing his artist the whole way. He's true in his convictions, and Jeremy Strong just delivers. He is the North Star. You point him toward it, and he's going for it. He reminds me of, in the Eagles documentary, History of the Eagles, Irving Azoff, I think is his name, was the Eagles manager for a while, and he was a ride or die. Basically, what the artist is there to give to the world, and his job is to make sure that happens. Jeremy Strong does that incredibly well in this movie. Finally, there's Odessa Young, who plays Faye, the love interest. She's a new face to me. Apparently, she's been in quite a few movies. I just haven't seen them. It looks like some are probably scary movies or just kind of straight up action movies, which aren't typically my thing. But I really believed her performance. She was earnest. She played it well, and really gave Bruce an emotional tie to come back to or to work towards, even if he couldn't, in the end, fulfill what she wanted, what maybe he even wanted. It was a great source of learning for Bruce in this, outside of the music, because we could have just been entranced inside during the recording this whole time. This was a nice reprieve from some of that. Next, let's hit on the palette, which focuses on the director and cinematographer. So we have Scott Cooper, who the only thing I've seen that he did before was Crazy Heart, another music-centric movie on that one. And then the cinematographer is, I've got it written down here so I can hopefully pronounce it, Masanobu Takayanagi, I believe. And he had some movies that I've seen, Silver Lining Playbook, The Gray. I think overall this is shot pretty straightforward as a biopic. There's a lot of open road sequences, a lot of the desolate towns of New Jersey or where Bruce is from. A lot of traveling around in this. You kind of feel that transient nature of Bruce's life. He's bouncing from here to there. He's bouncing from person to person. I think the film depicts that really well with the space. He's in a lot of open spaces, whether it's on what I assume is the Atlantic City Boardwalk or one of those boardwalks in New Jersey. Just the sense of space, the sense of things falling apart, his life falling apart around him. I think those are the main lenses through which the director and cinematographer really tackled this film. Having covered direction and cinematography, that leads us directly to the postcard, which I think is either the image that encapsulates the film or maybe what I think is the best frame of the film. And for that one, I'm going to go with this photo in the studio after I think they were laying down Born in the USA. Everyone gathered around to listen to what they just created. Such a magical moment. If you've ever done anything like that where you've worked in a big group and you've either completed a project for work and maybe you're celebrating or written a song with a band, and then now that's all come together and you're taking it in. It's laid out like a Renaissance painting. It could be the Last Supper. Bruce there in the middle at the controls, everyone around taking in what they have created. Love it. Now let's talk about the philosophy, which I'm using as the main theme or themes of the movie. I think a big one in Deliver Me From Nowhere is just faith in art, faith in your art, in your thoughts, and being unflinching. If you have a vision, seeing it through, not wavering, not giving in to the pleading of others, to the temptation of money, and the end result will be pure, will be what you hopefully had in mind, and will resonate with other people because it is coming from a place of truth. I think another way you could put it is just it's the value of authenticity. I think artists face this all the time. When you hear a lot of people's first album or two, they're incredible. That's when you fall in love with people. It's because they've been working on those songs their whole life. They have something unique to say. They have to get it out. As success comes, maybe people don't become or don't stay as interesting, and you don't really relate to what they're saying as much. They're in a different spot of life. But I think in this album for Nebraska, Bruce wanted to stay true to himself, and success eventually came in Born in the USA and other albums. He became a monster star after Born in the USA. But this was an album he really felt like he authentically needed to share with people. Now let's talk about the parallels, which I'm using as the symbolism or what can be mirrored into life from the techniques in the film. I think the one that stands out to me after just watching this was kind of the open roads, empty roads. That's Bruce alone on his journey to complete this work. When he's driving across country, you kind of just get a sense of how separated he is from everything, from his past, from his current situation with Faye and her daughter, from what the label wants. He's isolated from all of that, and these kind of big expanses, needing a fast car to get from place to place because he's a little bit everywhere and he's a little bit nowhere. I think that was really well done and shown throughout this movie, with the use of those fast cars and big open roads. Now on to the pivotal moment, which I say is maybe going to be the climax or the best scene of the movie, or what stood out most to me. To me, in this movie, it was the scene where they come to the studio and work on some of the songs that Bruce has been writing in isolation. They lay down Born in the USA. You've known this song forever, but something about it coming alive in studio is great. You also hear a snippet of what it sounded like as a solo demo on 4 tracks that Bruce put together. It sounds completely different when the band gets involved. And I like how different perspectives can work on the same project and completely change it. And, most of the time, or in this instance, for the better. Sometimes not, which is why he wanted to keep a lot of Nebraska the way it is. But I think it's just a great moment, a pinnacle moment. And then we get that moment where they listen to it all together, as I showed in the shot before. I really liked that as part of the biopic. All right, now on to the problems I had with this movie. I don't really have a big beef with this movie, maybe more with the genre. I think the biopic thing is maybe running its course for a few years. The huge one, Walk the Line, was like, oh gosh, this is incredible. But as they continue on, it's hard to feel fresh, especially when we're looking at a young guy of a certain age, of a certain talent. He's in the music industry and he's got this problem, and now we all love him. This is how he got to that point. So I think maybe that is just a little bit draining to watch another one of these so close to a complete unknown last year. I also think there are some scenes that are too clean, if that makes sense, too clean looking. The ending tour show with the crowd, everybody looked, as if they were from the 2000s to me. The lights seemed a little bit off. Also in the club scenes back in New Jersey, the Greta Van Fleet guitar player just kind of threw me for a loop and took me out of it. I was like, oh, that's the guy from Greta Van Fleet. So I think some of those things that kind of take you out of the time period, take you out of the moment, were kind of jarring and didn't really work for me. So my perspective, my final thoughts, my rating, I'm going to go ahead and give this one 3 spools. Pretty solid 3 spools. I think it was better than A Complete Unknown. Probably not in the lead performance. I think Timothée Chalamet wins that. I think the overall story was better. The contention with his father, which we didn't really talk about, but some of the abuse he felt, how he worked through that, through music and traditional therapy, kind of being showed throughout there, had more of an emotional hook to me than A Complete Unknown. I think I love a tortured soul, who works through it. I love the artistic process and it paying off. So I think it's really good. If you like Bruce Springsteen's music, if you like biopics, I say go ahead, check it out. Get to theaters, support the movies, and go watch Deliver Me from Nowhere. Thanks again for tuning in, y'all. Please check out the Patreon if you are so inclined. I've got one flat price for everything: early access, ad-free content, if we hopefully get to that, member shout-outs, help me pick out movies. But I really enjoyed hanging out with you, talking about this movie. If you want to join me on another hang, like, subscribe, and just tune into the next one, and we'll see you there.